People said Jonathan Mitchell had everything a man could want: wealth, power, a spotless reputation. But none of it mattered the night his own engagement party began to fall apart in front of 200 stunned guests. The ballroom lights glowed gold. Violins played softly in the background. And Victoria, the woman he planned to marry, smiled like she already owned the world. Then his 2-year-old son Lucas shattered the illusion. What started as a small whimper turned into a piercing cry that echoed through the hall. Jonathan rushed toward him, confused, trying to soothe a boy who had not spoken in almost 14 months. But Lucas was not looking at him. The child's tear-filled eyes were fixed on someone else. Someone standing quietly near the service doors, dressed in a simple uniform, holding a trash bin. Elena Carter. A housekeeping worker no one ever truly saw. Before Jonathan could react, Lucas wriggled out of his arms, ran across the marble floor, and threw himself at Elena's legs with desperate force. Then came the word nobody expected. The word that froze the entire room. Mama, if you want to know what happened next, make sure to subscribe to our channel and follow this story until the very end. And please comment below what city you are watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled across the world. Now, let us go back to where it all began. 3 hours before that moment, Jonathan Mitchell stood in his bedroom, staring at his reflection in the mirror. His tie was crooked. His hands would not stop shaking. And somewhere deep inside his chest, a voice kept whispering that tonight was a mistake. Margaret knocked softly on the door. "Sir Lucas is asking for you." Jonathan turned. "Is he okay?" "He will not put on his suit jacket. He keeps throwing it on the floor." Jonathan smiled despite himself. "That is my boy." He found Lucas sitting on his bedroom floor, the tiny navy blazer crumpled in the corner, his arms crossed defiantly over his chest. "Hey, buddy," Jonathan said, kneeling down. "What is going on?" Lucas did not answer. He had not answered anything in 14 months. But his gray eyes, so much like his mother's, stared at Jonathan with something that looked almost like warning. "I know you do not want to go to this party." Jonathan picked up the blazer and smoothed out the wrinkles. "I do not really want to go either. But we have to show up. Just for a little while. And then we can come back here and read books." "Deal." Lucas looked at him for a long moment. Then he reached out and took the blazer from Jonathan's hands. He did not put it on, but he held it. And for Lucas, that was progress. "Thank you, buddy." Jonathan kissed the top of his son's head. "I love you. You know that, right?" Lucas pressed his face against his father's chest. His small body trembled slightly. Jonathan held him tighter. "Whatever happens tonight," he whispered, "you and me, we are a team. Forever." If only he had known how much that promise would be tested in the hours to come. Victoria was waiting for him at the bottom of the stairs. She wore a gown that cost more than most people made in a year. Diamonds dripped from her ears and throat. Her smile was perfect and practiced and completely empty. "There you are," she said. "The caterers have a question about the champagne fountain. And the string quartet wants to know if they should play through dinner or take a break. And your mother called twice. She says she is running late because of traffic." Victoria. "And Senator Williams confirmed he is coming." "That is huge, Jonathan, if we can get him on our side for the foundation." Victoria. She stopped. "What?" Jonathan took her hand. It was cold. It was always cold. "Can we just take a moment before everything starts? Just breathe." Victoria's smile flickered. "We do not have time to breathe, Jonathan. We have 200 guests arriving in less than an hour." She pulled her hand away. "I need you focused. This night has to be perfect." She turned and walked toward the ballroom, her heels clicking against the marble like a countdown to something inevitable. Jonathan watched her go and felt nothing at all. That should have told him everything. The guests began arriving at 7. Private cars and limousines lined the long driveway. Women in designer gowns floated through the front doors. Men in custom suits shook hands and talked about money. Jonathan played his part. He smiled. He laughed at jokes that were not funny. He accepted congratulations from people who did not know him and did not care to. At 8:15, Victoria's father arrived. Harrison Reynolds walked into the ballroom like he owned it. He was tall and silver-haired, with the kind of face that had been handsome once before. Cruelty hardened it into something else. "Jonathan," he said, gripping Jonathan's hand too tightly. "Beautiful party. Victoria has outdone herself. She always does." Harrison leaned closer. "We should talk business later. I have a proposal that could benefit us both. Tonight is not really. Tonight is perfect." Harrison smiled, but his eyes did not. "After all, we are going to be family." Jonathan felt ice spread through his stomach. There was something in Harrison's voice, something hungry, something that made him want to grab Lucas and run. But he pushed the feeling down. He told himself he was being paranoid. He told himself Victoria loved him, and her father was just old-fashioned and everything would be fine. He was wrong about all of it. At 9 o'clock, Jonathan noticed that Lucas was not in the nursery. He found Margaret in the hallway, her face pale with worry. "Sir," she said, "I do not know what happened." One moment, he was calm, and the next he just started crying and running toward the stairs. I tried to stop him, but where is he now? He ran into the ballroom. "I am so sorry, sir. He has never done anything like this before." Jonathan pushed through the crowd. His heart hammered against his ribs. Lucas never left his safe spaces. Lucas never ran toward noise and strangers. Something was very wrong. He found his son standing in the middle of the dance floor. 200 guests had gone silent. The music had stopped. Everyone was staring at this small boy in his navy blazer, tears streaming down his face, his entire body trembling. Lucas. Jonathan knelt beside him. "Buddy. What is wrong? What happened?" Lucas did not look at him. His eyes were fixed on something across the room. His hand came up slowly, pointing toward the service entrance. Jonathan followed his gaze. A woman stood there in a housekeeping uniform. She was frozen in place, clearly horrified to have been noticed. She held a large trash bin, and her eyes were wide with fear. She was nobody. She was invisible. She was exactly the kind of person 200 wealthy guests would look right through. But Lucas could not stop staring at her. And then he ran. His small legs carried him across the marble floor so fast that Jonathan could not catch him. He threw himself at the woman with a force that nearly knocked her backward. "Mama," he sobbed. "Mama! Mama! Mama!" The trash bin clattered to the floor. The woman stood motionless, her arms hovering uncertainly above the child attached to her legs. "Mama came back," Lucas cried. "Mama came back. I prayed and prayed and Mama came back." Jonathan could not breathe. His son had not spoken in 14 months. 14 months of silence. 14 months of therapy and specialists and desperate hope. And now he was speaking. He was speaking to a stranger. He was calling a stranger the word he had stopped saying the night Catherine died. The gasps started immediately. Whispers spread like wildfire through the crowd. "Is that his mother? I thought she died in a car accident. Who is that woman? This has to be some kind of setup." Victoria pushed through the crowd, her perfect composure cracking. "What is happening? Who is this person? Why is Lucas clinging to some maid I do not know?" Jonathan could barely form words. "I do not understand." "Well, make him stop." Victoria's voice was sharp. "This is embarrassing. Everyone is staring. My son just spoke for the first time in 14 months, and you are worried about embarrassment. I am worried about our engagement party being ruined by some cleaning woman who is obviously working an angle." The woman in the uniform finally found her voice. "I do not know why he came to me." Her accent was American, but her words came out shaking. "I swear I have never met your child before. I was just emptying the trash from the back hall. I did not mean to come in here." But Lucas held her tighter. "Stay," he whimpered. "Mama, stay. No more leaving. Please, no more leaving." Jonathan felt his heart shatter. Those words. Those exact words. Lucas had screamed them the night Catherine died. He had screamed them over and over until his voice gave out, and then he had gone silent. For 14 months those words had been trapped inside his son, and now they were pouring out. To a stranger. To a woman in a cleaning uniform who looked just as shocked as everyone else. "This is insane." Victoria grabbed Jonathan's arm. "Make her put him down. I am not going to rip my son away from the first person he has spoken to in over a year. She is a con artist, Jonathan. Can you not see that she planned this? She is after your money. Look at her." Jonathan turned on Victoria. "Does she look like someone who planned this?" Victoria looked. The woman was trembling so badly she could barely stand. Her eyes were filled with tears. Her hands hovered over Lucas like she wanted to comfort him, but was afraid to touch him. She looked terrified. She looked overwhelmed. She looked like someone whose carefully constructed invisibility had just been destroyed. She looked like someone who was hiding from something far more frightening than a room full of wealthy strangers. "What is your name?" Jonathan asked gently. The woman hesitated. "Elena," she finally whispered. "Elena Carter. Elena. I am Jonathan Mitchell. I know this is confusing and frightening. I know you did not ask for any of this. But my son has not spoken in 14 months, and he just called you Mama. I need to understand why." "I do not know why," Elena said. Her voice cracked. "I have never seen him before. I do not know why he chose me." Lucas looked up at her. His cheeks were wet. His eyes were red. But his face held something Jonathan had not seen in over a year. Peace. "Because you are my new mama," Lucas said. His voice was small but clear. "I prayed every night for God to send me a new mama, because my old mama had to go to heaven. And now you are here." The words hit Jonathan like a physical blow. Every night. His son had been praying every night for 14 months. Praying for something Jonathan could not give him. Praying for a mother to replace the one he had lost. And somehow, impossibly, he believed his prayers had been answered. "This is ridiculous." Victoria's father stepped forward. His face was hard with contempt. "Jonathan, I do not know what game this woman is playing, but I suggest you call security and have her removed immediately. I am not removing anyone. She has clearly manipulated your son somehow. These people are clever, Jonathan. They know how to exploit weakness." "These people?" Jonathan's voice went cold. "What exactly do you mean by these people?" Harrison's eyes flickered to Elena. To her worn uniform. To her rough hands. To everything about her that screamed she did not belong in a room full of billionaires. "You know exactly what I mean," he said. Elena flinched. The words hit her like a slap. She had heard that tone before, that dismissal, that assumption that she was less than human because she cleaned toilets for a living. Lucas felt her flinch. His arms tightened around her legs. "Do not be mean to my mama," he said. His small voice carried across the silent room. "She is nice. She is good. God picked her special for me." Jonathan felt tears building behind his eyes. His son was defending this stranger. His silent, broken son was using his newly recovered voice to protect someone he had just met. Whatever was happening here, it was not manipulation. It was not a con. It was something else entirely. "Elena," he said, "will you come with me? Somewhere private. So we can talk." Victoria stepped in front of him. "You are not serious." "I am completely serious." "Jonathan, if you walk out of this room with that woman, I will never forgive you." Jonathan looked at his fiancée, at her perfect face twisted with fury, at her cold eyes filled with calculation, at everything about her that he had been too lonely and too desperate to see clearly. Then, do not forgive me, he said. He reached down and gently touched Lucas's shoulder. Buddy, can you walk with me? We are going to take Elena somewhere quiet so we can figure this out. Lucas shook his head. He reached up and grabbed Elena's hand. Mama has to carry me. Elena looked at Jonathan helplessly. I do not. It is okay. Please. Just for now. Elena bent down slowly. Lucas immediately climbed into her arms and wrapped himself around her like a koala. His face pressed against her neck. His fingers gripped her uniform. His entire body relaxed in a way Jonathan had not seen since before Catherine died. Follow me, Jonathan said. They walked through the silent crowd. 200 pairs of eyes followed them. Victoria's face burned with humiliation. Harrison's eyes narrowed with calculation. The whispers grew louder with every step. But Jonathan did not care. His son was speaking. His son was holding someone and feeling safe. Nothing else mattered. The study was quiet. A fire crackled in the fireplace. Books lined the walls. It felt like a different world from the chaos of the ballroom. Jonathan closed the door behind them. Please sit down, he said. You must be exhausted. Elena lowered herself onto a leather couch. Lucas immediately curled into her lap, his thumb finding his mouth. He has not sucked his thumb since he was a baby, Jonathan said quietly. The therapist said it was a comfort mechanism he had abandoned after his mother died. Elena looked down at the child in her arms. Her face was filled with confusion and tenderness and something that looked almost like recognition. He feels safe, she whispered. I do not understand why, but he feels safe with me. Jonathan sat across from them. He studied this woman who had appeared out of nowhere and somehow unlocked his son's voice. Tell me about yourself, he said. Please. I need to understand. Elena was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. I am nobody, she said. I clean hotel rooms. I empty trash cans. I try very hard not to be noticed. Why? Because being noticed is dangerous for me. Jonathan leaned forward. What do you mean? Elena's hands tightened around Lucas. The child stirred but did not wake. I have been running for 3 years, she said. From someone who wants to hurt me. Someone who has spent 3 years hunting me across the country. Someone who will not stop until he finds me. Jonathan felt ice spread through his veins. Who? My ex-fiancé. His name is Marcus Whitmore. The name hit Jonathan like a thunderbolt. Marcus Whitmore. He knew that name. Everyone in business knew that name. The Marcus Whitmore. The hedge fund manager. Elena nodded. Her face had gone pale. I met him 5 years ago, she said. I was working as a paralegal at a law firm in Boston. He was a client. He was charming and brilliant, and everyone told me how lucky I was when he started paying attention to me. What happened? Elena closed her eyes. The memories were always there, waiting just beneath the surface. At first, everything was perfect, she said. He took me to restaurants I could never afford. He bought me clothes and jewelry. He introduced me to people I had only read about in magazines. I thought I had found my fairy tale, but it was not a fairy tale. No, it was a trap. Elena opened her eyes. They were bright with unshed tears. The first time he hit me was 3 months after we got engaged. I told myself it was stress. He was under so much pressure. He apologized so sincerely. I believed him when he said it would never happen again. But it did happen again. It happened again and again and again. Elena's voice cracked. And every time he told me it was my fault. I had made him angry. I had pushed him too far. If I could just be better, be quieter, be smaller, he would not have to hurt me. Jonathan felt rage building in his chest. That is not love, he said. That is abuse. I know that now, but I did not know it then. He had isolated me from everyone. My friends were his friends. My family believed everything he told them. I had no one to tell me that what was happening was not normal. How did you escape? Elena took a shaky breath. One night he hurt me so badly I thought I was going to die. I was lying on the floor of our bathroom and I could see myself in the mirror. My face was covered in blood. My eye was swollen shut. And I thought, this is how it ends. This is how I die. In a bathroom, in a beautiful house, that is really a prison. But you did not die. No. Something inside me woke up. Something that refused to accept that this was my ending. I waited until he passed out drunk. And I ran. With nothing. With nothing. No phone. No wallet. No car. I walked for miles in the middle of the night until I found a bus station. I used the last $20 I had hidden in my shoe to buy a ticket to anywhere. And Marcus Elena's face hardened. He reported me missing. He told everyone I had suffered a mental breakdown and disappeared. He hired private investigators to find me. He put a bounty on my head like I was some kind of criminal. A bounty, $10,000 to anyone who could tell him where I was. Elena laughed bitterly. $10,000? That is what my freedom is worth to him. Less than he spends on a single bottle of wine. Jonathan stared at her. This woman had been through hell. She had clawed her way out of an abusive relationship and spent 3 years running for her life. And now she was sitting in his study holding his son, looking at him with eyes that held no hope of being believed. I believe you, he said. Elena blinked. What? I believe you. I believe everything you just told me. Why? Elena's voice cracked. You do not know me. You have no reason to trust me. Marcus has money and power and connections. Everyone believes him. Why would you be any different? Jonathan looked at his son sleeping peacefully in Elena's arms. Because Lucas believes you, he said. And children see truth that adults have forgotten how to recognize. Elena's composure finally broke. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She made no sound, but her shoulders shook with the force of her silent crying. Jonathan moved to sit beside her. He did not touch her. He simply sat there, close enough for her to feel that she was not alone. You are safe here, he said. Whatever Marcus Whitmore wants, he will not get it. Not while I am breathing. You do not understand. Elena wiped her eyes. He is dangerous. He has hurt people who tried to help me. A lawyer who took my case ended up disbarred. A friend who let me stay with her had her house set on fire. Everyone who gets close to me becomes a target. Then I will be a target. Elena stared at him. Why? Why would you risk everything for a stranger? Jonathan was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. Because 14 months ago I lost my wife, he said. She was driving home from work. A drunk driver ran a red light. She died instantly. And when I got the news, I thought my life was over. Elena's hand found his without either of them consciously choosing it. Lucas was there when I fell apart. Jonathan continued. He watched me scream. He watched me cry. He was too young to understand what death meant, but he understood that his mother was never coming home. And that night, he stopped speaking. 14 months, Elena whispered. 14 months of silence. 14 months of watching my son disappear inside himself. 14 months of trying everything I could think of and failing. Jonathan's voice broke. And then tonight, he saw you. He ran to you. He called you Mama. He spoke for the first time in 14 months. I do not understand why, Elena said. I do not understand any of this. Neither do I. But I know what I saw in his eyes when he ran to you. I saw hope. I saw peace. I saw my son coming back to life. Jonathan looked at her. So yes, I will risk everything for you, because you gave me back something I thought I had lost forever. Lucas stirred in Elena's arms. His eyes opened slowly. He looked up at her face and smiled. Mama, he said sleepily. You stayed. I stayed, Elena whispered. Fresh tears fell down her cheeks. "Daddy is here too," Lucas said. He reached out and grabbed Jonathan's hand. "Now we are all together, like a family." Jonathan's heart cracked open. His son had lost so much. His mother, his voice, his sense of safety, and yet here he was in the middle of the wreckage trying to build something new. "Lucas," Jonathan said gently, "can I ask you something?" "Yes, Daddy." "Why did you choose Elena? How did you know she was supposed to be your new mama?" Lucas thought about this very seriously. He looked at Elena's face. He looked at Jonathan's face. Then he nodded like he had come to an important decision. "Because she is sad like us," he said. "Because she needs a family too. God told me. He said the lady in the blue dress would be lonely and scared, and we should take care of her." Elena made a choked sound. "How long have you known? How long have you been waiting for me?" "A long, long time," Lucas said. "Since Mama went to heaven. I asked God every night to send someone to make Daddy smile again, and tonight he did." Jonathan could not speak. His 2-year-old son had been praying for him, praying for someone to make Daddy smile again. While Jonathan had been drowning in grief, Lucas had been hoping for rescue. "Thank you, buddy." Jonathan finally managed. "Thank you for not giving up." "I never give up," Lucas said firmly. "Mama taught me. She said, Mitchell people are strong. She said we never give up no matter what." The door burst open. Victoria stood in the doorway. Her face was a mask of cold fury. Behind her stood her father and 2 security guards. "Enough," Victoria said. "This circus is over." Jonathan stood immediately, placing himself between Victoria and Elena. "What are you doing?" "I am doing what you should have done an hour ago." Victoria nodded to the security guards. "Remove her from the property." The guard stepped forward. "Stop." Jonathan's voice cut through the room like a blade. "You take one more step toward her and you are fired. Both of you." The guards hesitated. They looked at Victoria. They looked at Jonathan. They looked at the woman holding the child who had not spoken in over a year. "You cannot fire them," Victoria snapped. "This is not your decision anymore, Jonathan. My father and I have discussed it. This woman is a threat to your family and she needs to go. Your father and you have discussed it." Jonathan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You have discussed what happens in my home, with my son, without consulting me. We are trying to protect you." "From what?" "From the first person who has made Lucas feel safe since his mother died. From a con artist who is obviously manipulating a traumatized child to get access to your money." Victoria stepped closer. "Think about it, Jonathan. A maid just happens to wander into our engagement party. Your son just happens to run to her. He just happens to start speaking for the first time in over a year. Does any of that sound like coincidence to you? It sounds like a miracle. It sounds like a setup." Victoria's voice dripped with disdain. "But you are too emotional to see it clearly, which is why my father and I are stepping in." Harrison moved to stand beside his daughter. "Jonathan," he said smoothly, "I know this is difficult. You have been through so much. Losing Catherine, watching Lucas struggle. We understand why you want to believe this woman is some kind of answer to your prayers. She is not an answer to my prayers. She is an answer to Lucas's prayers. Listen to yourself. You sound delusional." Harrison shook his head sadly. "The Jonathan Mitchell I know would never let some cleaning woman manipulate him like this." "The Jonathan Mitchell you know does not exist," Jonathan said quietly. "He is a mask I wear at business dinners and charity galas. But in this room right now, I am just a father trying to protect his son." "Then protect him from her," Victoria said. She pointed at Elena. "She is dangerous, Jonathan. I can feel it." Elena had not moved. She sat on the couch holding Lucas, her face pale, her body trembling. She looked like a woman who had been hunted for so long that she no longer knew how to feel safe. But Lucas was not trembling. Lucas was calm. Lucas was watching Victoria and Harrison with eyes that seemed far too old for his face. "I do not like them, Daddy," he said. His voice was clear and steady. "They are mean. They make the air feel bad." Victoria's face went red. How dare you let him speak to me like that? He is 2 years old, Jonathan said. He is telling you how he feels. That is what we have been trying to get him to do for 14 months. He needs to learn respect. He needs to learn that his feelings matter. Something you clearly never learned. Victoria's eyes flashed with rage. Choose, she said. Her or me. Right now. Right here. Choose. The room went silent. Jonathan looked at Victoria. At her perfect face twisted with ugly emotion. At her designer gown and her diamond jewelry and her absolute certainty that she would win. Then he looked at Elena. At her worn uniform and her rough hands and her eyes filled with fear and hope and something that looked like the beginning of trust. Finally, he looked at Lucas. At his son's face, peaceful for the first time in over a year. At his small hand gripping Elena's sleeve like she was his anchor in a storm. The choice was not hard. Goodbye, Victoria, Jonathan said. Victoria staggered backward like she had been slapped. What did you say? I said goodbye. Our engagement is over. I want you and your father out of my house within the hour. You cannot do this, Harrison sputtered. Do you have any idea who we are? Do you have any idea what we can do to you? I know exactly who you are. Jonathan's voice was ice. You are people who care more about appearances than truth, more about control than compassion, more about money than love. And I do not want any of you near my son. You will regret this, Victoria hissed. I will make sure everyone knows what you did tonight. How you humiliated me in front of 200 guests. How you chose a maid over your own fiancé. Tell them whatever you want. Jonathan turned his back on her. I stopped caring about what people think the night my wife died. This is not over, Harrison said. His voice was quiet, but dangerous. You have made a powerful enemy tonight, Jonathan. I have made a choice. Jonathan faced him. I have chosen to protect someone who needs protection. If that makes me your enemy, then so be it. Harrison stared at him for a long moment. Something passed behind his eyes. Something calculating. Something patient. Something that made Jonathan's skin crawl. Then he smiled. We will see each other again, he said. Sooner than you think. He took Victoria's arm and guided her toward the door. She was crying now, loud theatrical sobs designed to make Jonathan feel guilty. He felt nothing. The door closed behind them. Jonathan stood motionless for a long moment. Then he turned back to Elena and Lucas. His son was smiling. Daddy did it, Lucas said. Daddy was brave. Jonathan felt tears building behind his eyes. He crossed the room and knelt beside the couch. He reached out and touched his son's face. I should have been brave a long time ago, he said. I should have seen what Victoria really was. It is okay, Daddy. Lucas patted his cheek. We have Elena now. Everything is going to be better. Jonathan looked at Elena. She was crying silently, tears streaming down her face. Her arms wrapped protectively around Lucas. Stay, he said. Please. Whatever you are running from, let me help you face it. Let me keep you safe. Why? Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Why would you do this for me? Because my son chose you, Jonathan said. Because he sees something in you that I am only beginning to understand. Because you deserve a chance to stop running. Elena closed her eyes. The tears kept falling. She had been running for so long, hiding for so long, surviving for so long. She had forgotten what it felt like to stand still. Okay, she finally said. I will stay. Lucas threw his arms around her neck. I told you, Daddy, he said. I told you God would send someone. Jonathan wrapped his arms around both of them. His son, this broken, brave woman who had appeared out of nowhere and changed everything. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for finding us. Elena opened her eyes. Through her tears, she saw Jonathan's face filled with gratitude and hope and something that looked like the beginning of faith. Maybe, she thought. Maybe I did not find you. Maybe you found me. And for the first time in 3 years, Elena Carter allowed herself to imagine a future that was not filled with fear. Somewhere outside, a car engine started. Victoria and Harrison drove away into the darkness. Their plans destroyed their pride, wounded their hunger for revenge, growing with every passing mile. And in a study in Greenwich, Connecticut, a broken family began to heal. None of them knew that the real danger had not yet arrived. None of them knew that Marcus Whitmore had already received a phone call. None of them knew that in less than 24 hours, the man who had spent 3 years hunting Elena Carter would finally know exactly where to find her. But for now, in this moment, there was only peace. For now, there was only hope. For now, there was only a father and a son and a woman who had nowhere else to go, and nothing left to lose, and everything still to gain. Outside, the party guests were leaving. The violins had gone silent. The champagne had stopped flowing. But inside the study, something new was beginning. Something fragile. Something beautiful. Something worth fighting for. The phone call came at exactly 11:47 that night. Victoria sat in the back of her father's limousine, mascara streaking down her cheeks, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the leather seat. Her father had not spoken a word since they left the Mitchell estate. His silence was more terrifying than any explosion of anger could have been. She could not stop replaying it. The way Jonathan had looked at her. The way he had said goodbye like she was nothing. Like 3 months of careful planning meant nothing. Like she meant nothing. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it. But something made her answer. "Hello, Victoria Reynolds." The voice was smooth and cold, like silk wrapped around a blade. "I understand you had an interesting evening. Who is this?" "Someone who shares your interest in a certain cleaning woman named Elena Carter." Victoria's breath caught. "How do you know about her?" "I know everything about her." The voice paused. "I have been looking for her for 3 years." Victoria's mind raced. 3 years. Elena had said she had been running for 3 years. From an ex-fiancé. From someone dangerous. "Who are you?" Victoria asked again. "My name is Marcus Whitmore, and I believe we can help each other." Victoria looked at her father. Harrison's eyes had sharpened with interest. He leaned closer to listen. "What do you want?" Victoria asked. "I want Elena." Marcus's voice hardened. "She belongs to me. She has always belonged to me, and I want her back. And what do I get? You get Jonathan Mitchell. Without her in the picture, he will come crawling back to you. Men like him cannot stand being alone. He will realize his mistake within weeks." Victoria felt something cold and satisfying settle in her chest. Revenge. It tasted sweet. "How did you find out she was there?" "I have people everywhere." Marcus laughed softly. "A waiter at your party recognized her from a photograph I circulated years ago. He called me 20 minutes ago." Victoria smiled for the first time since leaving the estate. "What do you need from me? Information. Access. Everything you know about the Mitchell estate. Security codes, staff schedules, the layout of the house. That is a lot to ask. I am offering a lot in return." Marcus paused. "Elena took something from me when she left. Something I want back. Help me get it, and I will make sure she never interferes with your life again." Victoria did not ask what Elena had taken. She did not care. All she cared about was making Jonathan pay for humiliating her. "Send me your number," she said. "I will be in touch." She hung up and looked at her father. Harrison Reynolds smiled. "Now that he said, is the daughter I raised." 3 days later. Elena woke to the sound of Lucas singing. She lay still for a moment, disoriented, unsure where she was. The bed was soft. The sheets smelled like lavender. Sunlight streamed through windows that looked out over gardens she had only ever seen while emptying trash cans. Then she remembered. She was in one of the guest rooms at the Mitchell estate. She had been here for 3 days. 3 days of sleeping in a real bed. 3 days of eating meals she did not have to pay for. 3 days of watching Lucas transform from a silent ghost into a laughing, talking, living child. The singing grew louder. Lucas's voice drifted through the door slightly off key, but filled with joy. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. 3 days ago, that voice had been locked inside a prison of grief. Now it filled the hallways like music. She got up and opened the door. Lucas stood in the hallway, still in his pajamas, a stuffed elephant tucked under his arm. His face lit up when he saw her. "Mama Elena, you are awake. Daddy is making pancakes," he said. "I could put the chocolate chips in, but I have to wait for you." He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the stairs. Elena let herself be led. She had stopped correcting him when he called her Mama Elena. Jonathan had suggested the compromise. It honored Lucas's feelings while acknowledging that Elena was not replacing Catherine. It was strange. It was impossible. It was the closest thing to family Elena had felt in years. Jonathan stood at the stove, a spatula in one hand, a cup of coffee in the other. He wore jeans and a faded Yale sweatshirt. He looked nothing like the billionaire she had first seen at the engagement party. He looked like a father. A tired, hopeful, ordinary father. "Good morning," he said. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I have in years," Elena admitted. Lucas climbed onto a stool at the kitchen island. "Chocolate chips," he demanded. "You promised." Jonathan laughed. "Go ahead, buddy, but not too many." Lucas grabbed the bag and began carefully placing chocolate chips into the pancake batter. His tongue stuck out in concentration. Elena watched him and felt her heart crack open. This child had chosen her. Out of everyone in the world, he had chosen her, and she still did not understand why. Jonathan seemed to read her thoughts. He leaned closer, his voice low. "I talked to Lucas's therapist yesterday," he said. "She has a theory about why he chose me." Jonathan nodded. "She thinks Lucas was drawn to something in your energy. Your body language. Something that signaled you understood loss and pain and survival. Children are incredibly perceptive. They sense things adults miss." "But I am a stranger. You were a stranger." Jonathan smiled softly. "You are not anymore." Lucas looked up from his chocolate chip operation. "Mama Elena, are you going to live here forever?" Elena froze. She did not know how to answer. Jonathan stepped in smoothly. "We are still figuring things out, buddy. But Elena is going to stay with us for a while. Is that okay?" Lucas nodded vigorously. "Good. Because I need her." He returned to his chocolate chips like the matter was settled. Elena looked at Jonathan. His eyes held a question, a hope. Something more than just concern for his son. She looked away quickly. It was too soon, too complicated, too dangerous. Because somewhere out there Marcus was still hunting her. And she had learned the hard way that happiness never lasted. That afternoon, Jonathan's lawyer arrived. David Chen was a serious man with kind eyes and a briefcase full of documents. He sat across from Elena in Jonathan's study, his expression grave. "I have done some research on Marcus Whitmore," he said. "What I found is disturbing." Elena's hands clenched in her lap. "Tell me." David opened a folder. "In the past 10 years, 3 women have accused Marcus of domestic abuse. All 3 later recanted their statements. Because he threatened them. That is my assumption." David pulled out another document. "There is more. A woman named Sarah Chen, no relation to me, dated Marcus for 2 years. She disappeared 6 months after they broke up. Her body was found in the Connecticut River. The death was ruled accidental drowning." Elena felt ice spread through her veins. "I knew Sarah," she whispered. "She warned me about Marcus. She told me to run. And then she was gone." David's face was grim. "There is also a lawyer named Thomas Rivera. He took on a case against Marcus 4 years ago. He was disbarred within 6 months. Lost his license, his reputation, everything. Marcus told me about him." Elena's voice shook. "He laughed about it. He said Thomas learned what happened to people who crossed him." Jonathan had been listening in silence. His jaw was tight with controlled fury. "Can we build a case against him?" he asked David. It will not be easy. Marcus is wealthy and connected. He has spent years covering his tracks. But if we can find other victims willing to testify, if we can document a pattern of behavior, we might have a chance. And in the meantime, we increase security. David looked at Elena. You should not leave the estate, not for any reason. Marcus knows you are here. It is only a matter of time before he makes a move. Elena nodded. She had known this was coming. She had known she could not run forever. But she had not expected to have people willing to fight beside her. I have one more thing, David said. He pulled out a photograph. Do you recognize this man? Elena looked at the image. A young man in a waiter's uniform, unremarkable, forgettable. No, she said. Should I? He worked at the engagement party. Jonathan leaned forward. David, what did you find? His name is Carlos Mendez. He was hired as temporary staff for the event. But I did some digging. He made a phone call 20 minutes after Elena's identity was revealed. To Marcus. To a number registered to one of Marcus's shell companies. David put the photograph away. Marcus has people everywhere. He has been waiting for Elena to surface. And now that she has, he will not stop until he gets her back. Elena felt the walls closing in. 3 years of running. 3 years of hiding. And it all came down to a single mistake. A wrong turn through a service door. A moment of visibility that had destroyed everything. Except it had also led her to Lucas. And Jonathan. And something that felt terrifyingly like hope. Maybe it was not a mistake, she said quietly. Maybe it was supposed to happen. Jonathan looked at her. What do you mean Lucas prayed for me? Every night for 14 months, he prayed for God to send him someone. Elena's voice cracked. What if this is the answer? What if I was supposed to find you? Jonathan was silent for a long moment. Then he reached across the table and took her hand. Then we fight, he said, together. Whatever Marcus throws at us, we face it together. Elena felt tears spill down her cheeks. She had forgotten what it felt like to have someone hold her hand, to have someone choose to stand beside her instead of against her. Thank you, she whispered. Do not thank me yet. Jonathan squeezed her hand. We have not won anything, but we will. I promise you, we will. That night, Lucas had a nightmare. Elena heard him screaming from down the hall. She was out of bed before she was fully awake, her body moving on instinct, her heart pounding with borrowed fear. She reached his room before Jonathan. Lucas was sitting up in bed, his face wet with tears, his small body shaking. Mama Elena. He reached for her desperately. The bad man was here. He was trying to take you away. Elena gathered him into her arms. Shh, she murmured. I am here. I am not going anywhere. He had scary eyes. Lucas sobbed against her chest. He said you belonged to him. He said he was going to take you back. Elena felt cold terror wash over her. It is just a dream, buddy. Just a bad dream. But even as she said the words, she knew they were a lie. Because somewhere out there, Marcus Whitmore was not a dream. He was very, very real. And he was coming for her. Jonathan appeared in the doorway. His face was pale. He had heard everything. Elena met his eyes over Lucas's head. The same thought passed between them. How much time did they have? Days, hours. They did not know. But they both understood that the fight of their lives was about to begin. The next morning brought news that changed everything. David called at 7:15. Jonathan put him on speaker. We have a problem, David said. Victoria Reynolds filed a petition with family court this morning. What kind of petition? She is claiming that Elena Carter poses a danger to Lucas. She is demanding a psychological evaluation of the child and requesting temporary custody be transferred to her as his future stepmother. Jonathan went white. She cannot do that. We are not engaged anymore. She is arguing that the engagement was broken under duress. That you were manipulated by a mentally unstable woman who has brainwashed your son. She has 3 experts willing to testify that Lucas's sudden speech recovery is a sign of psychological manipulation, not healing. That is insane. It is a legal strategy. And it might work. David paused. Jonathan, there is more. Marcus Whitmore's name appears on several of Victoria's legal documents. He is funding her case. Elena felt the room spin. He is using her, she whispered. He is using Victoria to get to me. It appears so. David's voice was heavy. Marcus cannot directly attack you without revealing his own criminal behavior. But if he can get Lucas removed from Jonathan's care, if he can create chaos and legal battles, he can wear you down, force you to run again. And when you do, he will be waiting. Jonathan slammed his hand on the desk. I will not let that happen. Then we need to prepare, David said. We need character witnesses, documentation, proof that Elena is helping Lucas, not hurting him. And we need it fast. The hearing is in 5 days. 5 days? Elena looked at Jonathan. His face was set with determination. Then we have 5 days to save everything he said, and we are not going to waste a single one. Elena nodded. The fear was still there. It would always be there. But underneath it, something else was growing. Strength. Hope. The fierce, desperate will to protect the people she had come to love. And she would not let Marcus take that from her. Not this time. Not ever again. The first witness arrived on day 1. Her name was Rachel Morrison. She was 43 years old with graying hair and hands that trembled when she spoke. David had found her through a network of domestic violence survivors. She had dated Marcus Whitmore for 8 months, 6 years ago. She sat across from Elena in Jonathan's study, her eyes filled with a pain that Elena recognized instantly. I thought I was the only one, Rachel whispered. I thought I was crazy. He made me believe I was crazy. You were not crazy, Elena said. He does that to everyone. Rachel nodded slowly. He was perfect at first. Charming. Attentive. He made me feel like the most special woman in the world. And then one day he hit me. And I thought it was my fault. I thought I had done something wrong. Jonathan stood by the window listening. His jaw was tight. What happened when you tried to leave? David asked gently. Rachel's hands twisted in her lap. He told me he would destroy me. He said no one would ever believe me over him. He had recordings, videos, things he had taken without my knowledge. He said if I went to the police, he would release them everywhere. But you got out. I ran. Rachel looked at Elena. Just like you. I changed my name. I moved to Oregon. I have not seen my family in 5 years because I am too afraid he will find them. Would you be willing to testify? David asked. At the custody hearing, Rachel was quiet for a long moment. Then she straightened her shoulders. Yes, she said. I am done being afraid. If my story can help Elena, then it is worth the risk. Elena reached across and took Rachel's hand. Thank you. You have no idea what this means. Rachel squeezed back. We survivors have to protect each other. No one else will. Day 2 brought another witness. Thomas Rivera, the lawyer. Marcus had destroyed, flew in from California. He was younger than Elena expected, maybe 40, but his eyes held the weariness of someone who had lost everything. I had a wife, he said, 2 kids, a practice I had built from nothing. Marcus took it all in 6 months. How? Jonathan asked. False accusations. Planted evidence. Witnesses who suddenly changed their stories. Thomas shook his head. He is a master at manipulation. He does not just attack you directly. He turns everyone around you into a weapon. And you still came here, Elena said, knowing what he could do. Thomas looked at her with fierce determination. I have spent 4 years rebuilding my life. 4 years wondering if I should have fought harder. He leaned forward. I am not going to let him win again. Not without a fight. David made notes. Your testimony about his tactics will be invaluable. The judge needs to see the pattern. There is something else. Thomas pulled out a folder. I kept records. Everything that happened to me. Every suspicious event. Every person who suddenly turned against me. Every document that disappeared. I could never prove Marcus was behind it. But the pattern is clear. Jonathan took the folder. This is exactly what we need. Thomas nodded. Use it. Expose him. Make sure Elena does not end up like the rest of us. On day 3, Elena's father called. She had not spoken to William Carter in almost 3 years. She had been too afraid that Marcus was monitoring his phone. Too afraid that any contact would lead the monster straight to her door. But David had arranged a secure line. And when Elena heard her father's voice, she broke down completely. "Baby girl," William said. His voice was weak, but filled with love. "I knew you were alive. I never stopped believing. Daddy." Elena could barely speak through her tears. "I am so sorry. I wanted to call. I wanted to see you." But he was watching. He was always watching. "I know, sweetheart. I know." William coughed. "That man came to see me 2 years ago. He sat in my living room and told me you were dead. He said you had killed yourself because you could not live without him." Elena felt rage surge through her. "He told you I was dead. He wanted me to stop looking, but I knew. A father knows when his child is gone. And you were not gone. You were just lost. I found a family daddy." Elena's voice cracked. "A little boy who needed me. A man who is fighting for me. I am not lost anymore." William was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again, his voice stronger than before. "Then fight," he said. "Fight for them. Fight for yourself. And when you win, you come see your old man. I am not ready to leave this world yet. Not until I see my baby girl smile again." "I promise," Elena whispered. "I promise I will come." She hung up and found Jonathan standing in the doorway. He did not say anything. He just opened his arms. Elena walked into them and let herself be held. For the first time in 3 years, she did not feel alone. Day 4 was when everything almost fell apart. Lucas woke up with a fever. His small body burned with heat, and his eyes were glassy and confused. "Mama Elena," he whimpered. "I do not feel good." Elena pressed her hand to his forehead. "Jonathan," she called. "Something is wrong." Jonathan came running. One look at Lucas and his face went pale. "We need to get him to a doctor." David had warned them not to leave the estate. The hearing was tomorrow. Marcus could have people watching. But Lucas was sick. And sick children did not wait for strategic timing. "I am coming with you," Elena said. Jonathan hesitated. "If Marcus sees you—" "I do not care." Elena's voice was fierce. "Lucas needs me. I am not leaving him." They drove to the hospital with security following in a separate car. Lucas lay in the back seat with his head in Elena's lap, his small hand gripping her fingers. "Mama Elena," he mumbled. "Do not let the bad man get you. I will not, baby." Elena stroked his hair. "I am right here." The emergency room was chaos. Doctors and nurses rushed past, machines beeped. Voices overlapped in a symphony of urgency. Jonathan carried Lucas to the front desk. "My son has a high fever. He needs to be seen immediately." The nurse looked at Lucas and her expression shifted to concern. "Bring him back here." They were led to a small examination room. A doctor arrived within minutes. She checked Lucas's vitals, looked in his ears, listened to his breathing. "Ear infection," she said finally. "Common in children his age. I will prescribe antibiotics. He should start feeling better within 24 hours." Elena sagged with relief. "Thank God." The doctor smiled kindly. "He is lucky to have parents who care so much." Elena froze. She started to correct the assumption, but Jonathan spoke first. "Thank you, doctor. We were terrified." The doctor nodded and left to write the prescription. Lucas had already fallen asleep against Elena's shoulder. Jonathan looked at her. She did not correct him. "You could have corrected her," Elena said quietly. "I could have," Jonathan agreed. "But I did not want to." He paused. "Elena, I know this is fast. I know we barely know each other. But Lucas loves you. And I—" He stopped, struggling to find the words. Elena waited. I am starting to feel things I did not think I could feel again, Jonathan said. After Catherine died, I thought that part of me was gone forever. But when I look at you with Lucas, when I see you fighting so hard just to survive, something wakes up inside me. Jonathan, I am not asking for anything. He held up his hand. I know you have been through hell. I know trust does not come easily anymore. I just want you to know that whatever happens tomorrow, whatever happens with Marcus, I am not going anywhere. Elena felt tears building again. She was so tired of crying, so tired of being afraid. But these tears were different. These tears were not about fear. They were about hope. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. The pharmacy was across the street from the hospital. Jonathan went to pick up the prescription while Elena stayed with Lucas. That was when she saw him. Marcus Whitmore stood in the parking lot, leaning against a black Mercedes, watching her through the hospital window. He smiled. Elena's blood turned to ice. She grabbed Lucas tighter, pressing him against her chest. Marcus did not move. He just stood there, smiling that terrible smile, letting her know that he had found her. That he could reach her any time he wanted. That nowhere was safe. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered with shaking hands. Hello, Elena, Marcus said. His voice was exactly as she remembered. Smooth, cold, deadly. You look tired. Running must be exhausting. Stay away from me. I have tried, darling. Believe me. But you keep making it difficult. Marcus laughed softly. That little boy you are holding, he is cute. It would be a shame if something happened to him. If you touch him, I do not want to touch him. I want you. Come with me willingly, and the boy stays safe. Fight me, and well. His voice hardened. You know what I am capable of. Jonathan appeared at the entrance of the pharmacy. He saw Marcus, his face transformed into something dangerous. Your protector is coming, Marcus said. How sweet. Does he know what you really are? Elena? Does he know the truth about why you ran? There is no truth. You are a liar. Am I? Marcus's smile widened. Ask yourself this. Why did a broken child with no voice suddenly start speaking the moment he saw you? Coincidence or something else? What are you talking about? Children recognize their own kind. Elena. Broken souls find each other. Marcus paused. Or maybe, just maybe, you remind him of someone he has lost. Elena felt the ground shift beneath her. What do you mean? Goodbye for now, darling. See you in court tomorrow. The line went dead. Jonathan reached her side. Elena, I saw him. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Elena could not answer. Her mind was spinning with Marcus's words. Why had Lucas chosen her? What did Marcus mean about broken souls recognizing each other? And what truth was he talking about? Elena. Jonathan took her face in his hands. Look at me. Whatever he said, it is a lie. He is trying to manipulate you. That is what he does. He said. Elena swallowed. He said there was a truth about why I ran. A truth I have not told you. Jonathan's eyes searched hers. Is there? Elena looked at the man who had fought for her. The man who had believed her when no one else would. The man whose son had somehow chosen her out of everyone in the world. She had to tell him. Before Marcus twisted everything. Before the hearing tomorrow. Yes, she whispered. There is something I have not told you. Something about the night I escaped. Jonathan did not flinch. Tell me. Elena took a deep breath. The night I ran, she said. I was not alone. I was pregnant. Jonathan's face went still. I lost the baby 2 weeks later, Elena continued. The stress, the fear. My body could not handle it. I never told anyone, not even my father. Elena. Marcus does not know, or at least I thought he did not. But if he found out, she choked on the words. That baby was his. And if he knows I was pregnant when I left. Jonathan pulled her into his arms. It does not matter, he said fiercely. None of it matters. You survived. That is all that counts. But Lucas chose you because you understand loss, because you carry the same grief he carries. Jonathan pulled back and looked at her. You lost a child. He lost a mother. Your souls recognized each other. Elena stared at him. The pieces fell into place. That was why Lucas had run to her. That was why he had felt safe in her arms. Not because of manipulation or coincidence. Because grief knows grief. Because broken hearts find each other. Because sometimes the universe brings together the people who need each other most. Tomorrow, Jonathan said. We face Marcus together, and we win. Elena nodded. The fear was still there. It would always be there. But underneath it, something stronger was growing. Love. And love, she was learning, could defeat anything. The morning of the hearing arrived with a phone call that changed everything. Elena was getting dressed when her phone rang. David Chen's name flashed across the screen. Elena, he said. His voice was urgent. We have a problem. Victoria's legal team just submitted new evidence. They claim to have medical records proving you were institutionalized for a psychiatric breakdown 3 years ago. That is a lie. Elena's hands went cold. I was never institutionalized. Marcus must have fabricated those records. I believe you, but the judge will see them before we have a chance to dispute them. David paused. There is more. They have a witness, a woman named Sandra Ellis. She claims she worked as a nurse at the facility where you were supposedly held. I do not know anyone named Sandra Ellis. Marcus does. David's voice was grim. She has worked for his family for 15 years. She is willing to commit perjury to destroy you. Elena sank onto the bed. Her legs would not hold her. What do? We fight, David said. We have our own witnesses. We have Thomas Rivera's documentation. We have Rachel Morrison's testimony. But Elena, I need you to be prepared. This is going to get ugly. I know. And there is one more thing. David hesitated. Jonathan needs to testify about Lucas's recovery. The judge needs to hear from the father himself that Elena has helped not harm the child. Jonathan will do it. I know he will. The question is whether the judge will believe him over Victoria's experts. Elena closed her eyes. 3 years of running. 3 years of hiding. And it all came down to this. A courtroom. A judge. The truth against a mountain of lies. I will be ready, she said. Good. David's voice softened. Elena, whatever happens today, you are not alone anymore. Remember that. She hung up and found Jonathan standing in the doorway. He had heard everything. We are going to win, he said. His voice left no room for doubt. How can you be so sure? Because we have something Marcus does not. Jonathan crossed the room and took her hands. We have the truth, and we have Lucas. Lucas appeared behind his father dressed in a small suit that made him look like a tiny businessman. His face was serious. Mama Elena, he said. I am going to tell the judge that you are good. I am going to tell everyone. Elena knelt down and pulled him into her arms. You do not have to do anything, baby. Just be yourself. But I want to. Lucas pulled back and looked at her with his mother's gray eyes. You saved me. Now I am going to save you. Elena felt tears spill down her cheeks. This child. This beautiful, brave, impossible child. I love you, she whispered. I love you too, Mama Elena. Lucas hugged her tight. Forever and ever and ever. The courthouse was a fortress of marble and intimidation. Elena walked through the doors with Jonathan on one side and David on the other. Security flanked them. Reporters shouted questions from behind barriers. Miss Carter. Is it true you were institutionalized? Mr. Mitchell, are you in a relationship with your son's nanny? Is this a custody battle or a love triangle? Jonathan kept his hand on Elena's back, guiding her forward. Do not listen to them, he murmured. They do not matter. They reached the courtroom at 8:45. Victoria was already seated at the opposing table dressed in white like some kind of angel. Harrison Reynolds sat behind her, his face a mask of smug confidence. And beside them sat Marcus Whitmore. Elena stopped walking. Her body refused to move forward. Marcus smiled at her. That same smile from the parking lot. That same smile from 1,000 nightmares. Elena Jonathan said quietly, "Look at me." She forced her eyes away from Marcus. Jonathan's face filled her vision. "He cannot hurt you here," Jonathan said. "This is a courtroom. There are witnesses. There are cameras. He has no power over you anymore. You do not know him. I know you." Jonathan's voice was fierce. "I know you survived 3 years on your own. I know you have more courage than anyone I have ever met. You can do this." Elena took a breath, then another. "Okay," she said. "Let us end this." They took their seats. Lucas sat between Elena and Jonathan, his small hand gripping Elena's fingers. The judge entered. Honorable Patricia Blackwell, a woman in her 60s with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. "We are here today," Judge Blackwell said, "to determine the matter of custody regarding Lucas Mitchell, age 2. The petitioner, Victoria Reynolds, claims that the current environment poses a psychological risk to the child. She is requesting temporary custody be transferred to her pending a full evaluation." Victoria's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we have documented evidence that Elena Carter, who has been residing in the Mitchell home, was institutionalized for psychiatric treatment 3 years ago. We have medical records and a witness who can testify to her unstable mental state." David rose immediately. "Your Honor, those records are fabricated. My client was never institutionalized. We have evidence that Marcus Whitmore, who is funding the petitioner's case, has a documented history of manufacturing false evidence against women who have escaped his abuse." Judge Blackwell's eyes sharpened. "Mr. Whitmore is funding this case. He is listed as a financial contributor to the petitioner's legal fund," David confirmed. The judge looked at Marcus. Her expression was unreadable. "Continue," she said. The next 2 hours were a battlefield. Victoria's lawyer called Sandra Ellis to the stand. The woman spoke with rehearsed confidence, describing in detail how she had cared for Elena during her supposed psychiatric stay. "She was delusional," Sandra said. "She believed people were following her. She claimed her fiancé was trying to kill her. Classic paranoid behavior." David cross-examined ruthlessly. "Miss Ellis, how long have you worked for the Whitmore family?" Sandra hesitated. "That is not relevant. Answer the question." 15 years. "And did Marcus Whitmore ask you to testify today?" "He mentioned the case to me." "Did he pay you to testify?" Sandra's eyes flickered to Marcus. "I was compensated for my time." "How much?" $20,000. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. No further questions, David said. Victoria's lawyer called her next witness, a child psychologist named Dr. Gerald Foster, who claimed that Lucas's sudden speech recovery was a sign of manipulation, not healing. "Children do not suddenly start speaking after 14 months of silence," Dr. Foster said. "Unless something artificial has triggered the response. This woman has clearly used psychological techniques to create a false bond with the child." David stood for cross-examination. "Dr. Foster, have you personally examined Lucas Mitchell? I have reviewed the case files, but you have not examined him directly." "That is correct. So your opinion is based entirely on paperwork provided by the petitioner's legal team." Dr. Foster shifted uncomfortably. "I am a qualified professional who has been paid $50,000 by Marcus Whitmore to testify today." The courtroom erupted. Judge Blackwell banged her gavel. "Order." She fixed Dr. Foster with a hard stare. "Is this true? I was hired as a consultant. $50,000 to consult on a case you never personally examined." Judge Blackwell made a note. "I will weigh your testimony accordingly." The tide was turning, but Marcus was not finished. During the lunch recess, Elena went to the restroom alone. A mistake she would regret. Marcus was waiting in the hallway. "You look tired," he said. "All this fighting must be exhausting." "Stay away from me. I just want to talk." Marcus stepped closer. "Privately. Without your guard dogs. We have nothing to talk about. We have everything to talk about." His voice dropped to a whisper. "I know about the baby Elena." Elena's blood froze. "You think I did not know?" Marcus smiled. "I had people watching you from the moment you left. I know you were pregnant. I know you lost it 2 weeks later. I know everything. It does not matter anymore. It does if you want to protect that little boy in there." Marcus's eyes hardened. "Drop this case. Come with me willingly, and I will leave Jonathan and Lucas alone. Never. Then I will destroy them." Marcus leaned closer. "I will take everything Jonathan has. His company, his reputation, his son. I will make sure he ends up with nothing. And then I will come for you." Elena felt terror clawing at her chest. But underneath the terror, something else was rising. Something hot and fierce. "No," she said. Marcus blinked. "What I said no." Elena's voice grew stronger. "You have controlled me for 3 years. You have chased me across 4 states. You have tried to destroy everyone who helped me. But it ends here. You cannot stop me. Watch me." Elena turned and walked away. Her legs were shaking. Her heart was pounding, but she did not look back. She found Jonathan in the hallway. He took one look at her face and knew something had happened. What did he do? Elena told him everything. The threat, the blackmail, the choice Marcus had given her. Jonathan's face went dark with rage. "I am going to kill him." "No!" Elena grabbed his arm. "We are going to beat him. In there, in front of everyone. That is how we win." Jonathan stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Let us finish this," he said. The afternoon session began with David's witnesses. Rachel Morrison took the stand first. She told her story with quiet dignity. The abuse, the threats, the years of hiding. "He told me no one would ever believe me," Rachel said. "He told me I was crazy. He told me I deserved what happened. But I know the truth. And so does Elena." Thomas Rivera testified next. He laid out the pattern. The destroyed careers, the suspicious deaths, the web of intimidation Marcus had built over a decade. "This man is a predator," Thomas said. "He uses his wealth and power to destroy anyone who threatens his control." Elena is not crazy. She is a survivor. And she deserves protection, not persecution. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. "The defense calls Lucas Mitchell," David announced. Victoria shot to her feet. "Objection. He is 2 years old. His testimony cannot be reliable." Judge Blackwell considered. "I will allow it, but I will speak to the child myself in chambers without either party present." Jonathan squeezed Elena's hand. She squeezed back. 20 minutes later, Judge Blackwell returned. Her face was unreadable. "I have spoken with Lucas," she said. "He is remarkably articulate for his age, and remarkably clear about his feelings." She looked at Elena. "He told me that Elena saved him, that she made him feel safe, that he prayed every night for 14 months for God to send him someone to help his daddy smile again, and that God answered his prayers." Tears streamed down Elena's face. "He also told me," Judge Blackwell continued, "that the lady in white makes him feel scared, that she has mean eyes, and that he never wants to live with her." Victoria's face went crimson. Judge Blackwell turned to her. "Miss Reynolds, I have reviewed the evidence. The medical records you submitted have inconsistencies that suggest fabrication. Your expert witnesses have financial ties to Marcus Whitmore that compromise their credibility. And your primary motivation appears to be revenge rather than genuine concern for the child." "Your Honor, I am not finished." Judge Blackwell's voice was steel. "I am dismissing your petition. Lucas Mitchell will remain in the custody of his father, and I am referring this case to the district attorney for investigation into witness tampering, evidence fabrication, and conspiracy to commit fraud." She looked at Marcus. "Mr. Whitmore, I suggest you retain excellent legal counsel. You are going to need it." Marcus's face went white. "This court is adjourned," Judge Blackwell said. The gavel came down. Elena collapsed against Jonathan, sobbing with relief. "We won," she whispered. "We actually won." Jonathan held her tight. "I told you," he said. "The truth always wins." Lucas climbed into Elena's lap and wrapped his arms around her neck. "Mama Elena," he said. "The bad people are going away now." "Right?" "Yes, baby," Elena said through her tears. "The bad people are going away." But even as she said the words, she saw Marcus being escorted from the courtroom by his lawyers. He looked at her one last time. His eyes promised that this was not over, that he would find another way, that he would never stop until he got what he wanted. Elena held Lucas tighter and made a silent vow. Whatever came next, she would be ready. Whatever Marcus tried, she would fight. Because she was not running anymore. She was home. And she would protect her family with everything she had. 2 weeks after the hearing, Marcus Whitmore made his final move. Elena was reading to Lucas in his bedroom when the security alarm shattered the evening silence. Red lights flashed through the hallways. Jonathan's voice echoed through the intercom system. "Elena, take Lucas to the safe room, now." She did not hesitate. She scooped Lucas into her arms and ran. "Mama Elena," Lucas whimpered. "What is happening?" "It is okay, baby. We are just going to play a hiding game." The safe room was hidden behind a bookshelf in Jonathan's study. David had insisted on installing it after the hearing. A reinforced steel door, 3 days of supplies, a direct line to the police. Elena punched in the code. The door swung open. She carried Lucas inside and sealed it behind them. Her phone buzzed. "Jonathan." "He is here," Jonathan said. His voice was tight with controlled fury. Marcus broke through the front gate. "Security is engaging, but he brought 6 men with him. 6 men. He is desperate." The district attorney filed charges yesterday. Witness tampering, evidence fabrication, conspiracy. If he goes to trial, he is looking at 20 years. Elena felt ice spread through her veins. A cornered animal was the most dangerous kind. "Where are you?" she asked. "Coming to you. Stay in the safe room. Do not open that door for anyone except me." "Jonathan, I love you, Elena." He said it without hesitation, without uncertainty. "I should have said it sooner, but I love you." Tears blurred her vision. "I love you too. Stay safe. I am coming." The line went dead. Lucas looked up at her with wide gray eyes. "Daddy said he loves you." "Yes, baby." "He did. Do you love him too?" Elena stroked his hair. "Yes, I love him very much." Lucas smiled despite the fear. "Good. Then we really are a family now." Elena held him tighter and prayed that Jonathan was right, that they would survive this night, that they would have a chance to be the family Lucas believed they already were. Outside the safe room, chaos erupted. Jonathan had prepared for this possibility. After the hearing, he had tripled his security team. He had installed motion sensors throughout the property. He had created multiple contingency plans. But Marcus had prepared too. The 6 men who breached the gate were not ordinary criminals. They were former military contractors, trained, disciplined, deadly. Jonathan watched them on the security monitors. They moved with precision, taking out his guards one by one. "Call the police," he told his head of security. "Already done, sir. They are 15 minutes out." 15 minutes was too long. Jonathan opened the gun safe in his study. He had never wanted to use these weapons. Catherine had hated guns. She had made him promise to keep them locked away. But Catherine was gone. and Elena and Lucas were hiding in a steel box because a monster had come to take what did not belong to him. Jonathan loaded the shotgun and moved toward the door. "I am sorry, Catherine," he whispered, "but I have to protect our son, and the woman he loves." Marcus reached the house at 9:17. He walked through the front door like he owned the place. His men had cleared the path. Bodies lay unconscious in the hallways. Glass littered the floors. Elena Marcus called. His voice echoed through the empty rooms. "I know you are here. Come out and no one else has to get hurt." Silence. Marcus smiled. He had always enjoyed the hunt, the fear, the anticipation. Elena had been his greatest challenge. 3 years she had evaded him. 3 years she had made him look like a fool. But the chase was over now. "I am not angry," Marcus continued. His footsteps creaked on the wooden floors. "I understand why you ran. I was not always kind to you. I admit that. But we can start over. We can build something new." Still silence. "Think about the boy, Elena. Think about Lucas. Do you really want him caught in the crossfire? Come with me now, and I promise he will never be harmed." A voice came from behind him. "She is not going anywhere with you." Marcus turned. Jonathan stood in the hallway with a shotgun aimed at his chest. "Ah," Marcus said. "The knight in shining armor. I was wondering when you would show up." "This is over, Marcus. The police are on their way. Your men are down. You have nowhere to go." Marcus laughed. "You think this is about escape?" He shook his head. "This is about principle. Elena belongs to me. She has always belonged to me. And I do not share. She is not property. She is a human being. She is mine." Marcus's voice hardened. "I made her. I shaped her. Every breath she takes is because I allowed it. And if I cannot have her, no one will." Jonathan's finger tightened on the trigger. "I will not let you touch her. You are going to shoot me." Marcus spread his arms. "Go ahead. Kill me. But my lawyers will make sure you spend the rest of your life in prison. And then, who will protect Elena? Who will raise your son Jonathan?" Hesitated. Just for a second. It was enough. Marcus moved with snake speed. He pulled a knife from his jacket and lunged. Jonathan fired. The shot went wide, splintering the wall. Marcus tackled him to the ground. The shotgun skittered across the floor. They fought with desperate fury. Jonathan was stronger. Marcus was faster. They rolled across the hallway, fists connecting, blood spattering. "She is mine," Marcus snarled. His hands wrapped around Jonathan's throat. "You cannot have her. Nobody can have her except me." Jonathan's vision started to blur. He could feel consciousness slipping away. Then he heard it, the click of a safety being released. "Let him go." Elena stood at the end of the hallway. She held the shotgun Jonathan had dropped. Her hands were steady. Her eyes were ice. Marcus looked up, his face twisted into something ugly. "Elena, put that down. You do not know how to use it." "I learned," Elena said. 3 years on my own. I learned a lot of things." She took a step closer. "I learned how to disappear," she continued. "I learned how to survive on nothing. I learned how to be invisible." Another step. But most importantly, she said, "I learned that I am not your property. I never was, and I never will be." Marcus released Jonathan's throat. He stood slowly, his hands raised. "You will not shoot me," he said. "You do not have it in you." Elena's finger tightened on the trigger. "You spent 3 years hunting me. You destroyed everyone who tried to help me. You threatened the people I love." She aimed at his chest. "And you killed our baby," she whispered. "The stress, the fear, the running. You killed our child before it ever had a chance to live." Marcus's eyes flickered. "I did not know you were pregnant." "Would it have mattered?" Silence. "No," Elena said. "It would not have mattered. Because you are incapable of love. Incapable of compassion. Incapable of seeing anyone as anything other than a possession." She lowered the gun slightly. "But I am not going to kill you," she said. "Because I am not like you. I do not destroy people. I survive them." Sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights flickered through the windows. Marcus looked toward the door. His escape routes were gone. His men were down. His carefully constructed world was crumbling. "This is not over," he said. "Yes, it is." Elena's voice was final. "You just do not know it yet." The police burst through the door 30 seconds later. Marcus was arrested on 15 counts. Assault, breaking and entering, conspiracy, attempted kidnapping, and 3 counts of attempted murder dating back to incidents his previous victims had reported. The evidence was overwhelming. Thomas Rivera's documentation, Rachel Morrison's testimony, the testimony of 6 other women who came forward after the hearing, and finally the testimony of Elena Carter herself. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Elena took the stand on day 4. She told her story without flinching. The abuse, the threats, the escape, the 3 years of running, and the baby. She had never spoken publicly about the pregnancy, but on that witness stand with Jonathan in the gallery and Lucas being watched by Margaret at home, she found the courage to say the words she had buried for 3 years. "I was pregnant when I left," she said. "I did not know it at the time. I found out 2 weeks later, the same day I miscarried, from the stress and trauma of running for my life." The courtroom went silent. "Marcus Whitmore did not just take 3 years from me," Elena continued. "He took my child. He took my future. He took everything I had. And he would have kept taking until there was nothing left." She looked directly at Marcus. "But he underestimated me," she said. "He thought I was weak. He thought I would break. He thought I would always be his victim." She straightened her shoulders. "He was wrong." The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Marcus Whitmore was sentenced to 35 years in federal prison without possibility of parole. When the verdict was read, Elena did not cry. She did not celebrate. She simply closed her eyes and breathed. It was over. It was finally over. 6 months later. Elena stood in front of the mirror adjusting her dress. It was simple. White. Perfect. Behind her, Lucas bounced on the bed with excitement. "Mama Elena, you look like a princess. Do you think so?" "Yes. The prettiest princess ever." Lucas jumped down and ran to her. "Daddy is going to cry. He always cries when he is happy." Elena laughed. "You might be right." There was a knock at the door. Margaret peeked in. "They are ready for you, dear." Elena took a deep breath. This was it. The moment she had stopped believing would ever come. The moment she had surrendered hope of experiencing. She was getting married. To a man who had believed her when no one else would. Who had fought for her when she had forgotten how to fight for herself. Who had opened his home and his heart to a woman with nothing but scars and secrets. "Are you nervous?" Margaret asked. "No," Elena smiled. "For the first time in my life, I am not afraid of anything." She walked down the hallway with Lucas holding her hand. The ceremony was small, intimate, just close friends and family. Rachel Morrison was there, Thomas Rivera, David Chen and his wife. And in the front row, in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank beside him, sat William Carter. Elena's father had lived to see this day. Against all odds. Against every prediction. He had held on because he promised his daughter he would. When Elena appeared at the end of the aisle, Jonathan's face crumbled. "I told you Daddy would cry," Lucas whispered loudly. The guests laughed. Jonathan laughed through his tears. Elena walked toward him with her father's blessing in her heart and her future waiting at the altar. The vows were simple. Jonathan went first. "Elena," he said. 14 months ago, I thought my life was over. I had lost my wife. I had lost my son's voice. I had lost all hope of ever feeling joy again. And then you walked through a door you were not supposed to walk through, and my son ran to you like he had been waiting for you his entire life. He took her hands. You did not save just Lucas that night. You saved me. You showed me that love does not die. It transforms. It grows. It finds new shapes and new homes. And I promise to spend the rest of my life being worthy of the love you have given us. Elena's turn. Jonathan, she said. 3 years ago, I ran from a monster. I left behind everything I knew, everything I loved. I became invisible because I thought that was the only way to survive. Her voice cracked. But you saw me, she continued. When I was invisible to everyone else, you saw me. You believed me when I had forgotten how to believe in myself. You fought for me when I had nothing left to fight with. And you gave me something I never thought I would have again. She looked at Lucas standing beside his father with the rings on a small pillow. You gave me a family, she whispered. A real family. And I promise to love you and Lucas with everything I am, for as long as I live. The rings were exchanged. The vows were sealed. You may kiss the bride. Jonathan pulled Elena close and kissed her like the entire world was watching. Because in that moment, their entire world was watching, and their entire world was cheering. 1 year later, Elena sat in the garden watching Lucas play with his new baby sister. Grace Catherine Mitchell had been born 3 months ago. She had her father's dark hair and her mother's brown eyes. Lucas called her his tiny princess and insisted on helping with everything. Mama Elena, Lucas called. Gracie is making faces at me. That means she loves you. Lucas beamed. He picked a flower and carefully placed it in his sister's tiny hand. Jonathan appeared beside Elena with 2 cups of coffee. How are my girls? He asked. Perfect. Elena leaned into him. Absolutely perfect. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching their children breathing in the peace they had fought so hard to win. You know what today is? Jonathan asked. Elena nodded. 1 year since the wedding, and 2 years since a little boy ran across a ballroom and changed everything. Jonathan kissed her forehead. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had not taken that wrong turn every day? Elena looked at Lucas now, teaching Gracie how to hold the flower. I would have kept running. I would have stayed invisible. I never would have known what I was missing. And Lucas, he would have stayed silent. Elena's throat tightened. He would have kept all that love locked inside with nowhere to go. Jonathan pulled her closer. He found you because he was supposed to find you, because some connections are bigger than logic, bigger than coincidence, bigger than anything we can explain. You really believe that I believe in Lucas, and I believe in you. Jonathan lifted her chin and looked into her eyes. And I believe that sometimes the universe brings broken people together so they can heal each other. Elena felt tears slip down her cheeks. Happy tears, the only kind she cried anymore. Thank you, she whispered, for seeing me, for believing me, for choosing me. Jonathan smiled. I did not choose you. Lucas did. I just had the good sense to follow his lead. Mama Elena. Lucas ran toward them, Gracie gurgling in his arms. Look, Gracie smiled. Her first real smile. Elena took her daughter from Lucas and looked at that tiny face. Those brown eyes, that perfect toothless grin. Hi, sweet girl, Elena whispered. Welcome to the family. Gracie reached up and grabbed Elena's finger. Her grip was strong, certain, like she had been waiting her whole tiny life for this moment. Like mother, like daughter, Jonathan said softly. Elena looked at the man she loved, the son who had chosen her, the daughter who had healed her. She thought about the girl she had been 3 years ago, broken, terrified, invisible. That girl was gone now. In her place stood a woman who had survived the worst and found the best. A woman who had learned that hope is not foolish and love is not weakness. A woman who finally understood that home is not a place. Home is the people who see you when you are invisible. Home is the child who runs to you when he needs to feel safe. Home is the family you build from the broken pieces of everything you lost. Lucas climbed into her lap, squishing himself between Elena and Gracie. "I love our family," he said. "It is the best family in the whole world." "It is," Elena agreed. "It really is." The sun set over the Mitchell estate, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. In the garden, a woman who had once been hunted sat surrounded by everyone she loved. She had run for 3 years. She had hidden for 3 years. She had survived for 3 years. And now, finally, she was living. Not as a victim. Not as a survivor. But as Elena Mitchell. Wife. Mother. Beloved. And that was worth every single step of the journey that brought her here. The little boy who had not spoken in 14 months grew up to be a man who never stopped talking about the night his prayers were answered. The woman who had been invisible became a light that guided other survivors out of their darkness. And the family that was built from broken pieces became the strongest family anyone had ever known. Because that is what happens when love finds you in your darkest moment. It does not just save you. It transforms you. It makes you whole. And it reminds you that no matter how far you have run, or how long you have hidden, you are never too lost to be found. You are never too broken to be loved. And you are never too invisible to be seen. Elena Carter came into the Mitchell home with nothing but her scars and her secrets. She left it with everything. A husband who adored her, children who needed her, a future that stretched out bright and endless before her, and a heart that was finally completely, irreversibly full. That is the power of love. That is the miracle of family. That is the truth that Elena learned on a night when a small boy ran across a ballroom and said a single word that changed everything. Mama. The end.